Okay, now is the fun part because we know that the way the algorithms work, it's about our behaviors. But actually, when we behave in ways that involve numbers, more than one of us, then the algorithms pay even more attention. And that's when we really get to direct where the spotlight goes, where that attention goes to particular pieces of content. So, in this particular task that we want you to do, we want you to consider all the different forms of social media and digital media that are out there. And these are just examples that are shown on this particular picture. And find a couple friends, ones that are like-minded, that also want to do something about it. But here's the best part. Make an agreement with each other to engage with each other on these platforms every day. It doesn't have to be every single platform. Pick one or two and two or three friends, or 10 if you can, as many, the more the better, and engage with each other on these platforms regarding content that you think represents factually truthful statements and the truth about what's happening and that reveal what's happening in the world in the perspective that you're trying to promote. Because when you engage with each other's content, you're going to be triggering the algorithms and you're going to be gaining attention to that content that you each post. So if each of you are posting content and then each of you are engaging with it, that's going to achieve this objective. And that way, you're going to be elevating factual content, you're going to be elevating the truth, and you're going to be calling on others to see the content that you've posted and that others have posted with you. So what does that mean to engage? It's some very specific activities. So if somebody makes a post on, say it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever, Blue Sky, there's ways to love that content. You can just like it, but it's better to love it because algorithms are triggered by greater emotional statements. So if an emotional statement is available by loving it, do that. Then respond to each other. Have a conversation with each other about it. Just a few words is all it takes. Like, hey, Lisa, I love what you posted. What would you say back, Lisa?
I'd say, thanks, John. I really feel very strongly about this.
And that's enough. You don't have to get into a long-winded paragraph. The algorithm doesn't know or care the difference. All it knows is, wow, this content is interesting because people are having a conversation on this thread about it, whatever it is. I'm going to show this to more people. And they're going to show it to more people in your social graph, but they're going to show it to more people that have the same profile as you as well. So sometimes complete strangers will see what you posted as long as you have your public settings on. And that's the point. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the content that we post or the content that we share. It doesn't have to be content that you've created. Keep in mind, we're talking about a meme you might see. Go ahead and share it to your feed. It might be a video that you like. Go ahead and share it to your feed. It might be a comment that someone else said. Go ahead and repost it on Blue Sky. These are all the activities that we need to start doing on a daily basis, but don't just do it as an individual. Don't be a single torch in the dark, but rather do it with your friends. It's more fun that way, but it's also more effective.
But I just want to say one thing, John, before you go.
Please do.
Even if you don't have a friend group together, you can make a difference, just you. Yes, it's great to get a friend group together and it's a lot of fun. But don't let that stop you because I'm posting all day, every day, not all day, but every day. I'm finding comments, I'm finding memes, I'm sharing them to multiple platforms. I had one comment that I reposted with a quote on Threads. It got 1,000 likes and it got 60 shares. I don't know who those people were, but they liked what I had to say. So that's how you get that out there.
Hey, you know what, Lisa, that's a great point. I'm glad you raised that. Yeah, we'd love to see you on your own form friend groups, but you don't need a friend group to do this. We're talking about 5 minutes a day. That's really all it takes. 5 minutes a day. And when you go online and you find other content that you think is promoting the view that you think needs to be elevated in order for us to have a greater and more effective political voice, by all means, engage with it, love it, share it, tell others about it so they do it too. That's what we can be doing every day. And if we do it with friends, that's great because numbers are better. But it doesn't have to be only in that context. We could be doing that every day. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is this idea of amplifying voices of truth. And it's everything we were just talking about. But
John, if I could interrupt in 1 second. Another way you could do, and this is your namesake, let's talk about the wolf pack while you're in there.
sure. No, we're gonna get, don't worry, Carrie. We've got that one teed up. He's talking
Okay.
about the social media team that we hope that some of you would want to join. But what we're focusing on now is you don't need to join a special team to do this. You can do this on your own. So we were just talking about this idea of joining a couple friends, but the other way to look at it is what are the content producers that you admire, that you like? And remember, politics is now so spread out over the digital culture spectrum that you don't have to limit yourself to a news site. You don't have to limit yourself to something that's specifically about politics, but go out and find the voices of truth that resonate with you. The ones shown here are just examples. But what we're encouraging you to do is go find the far-reaching ones that are reaching maybe small groups and small niche communities that we haven't even dreamed of yet, but you know of them, and engage with that content, engage with the people who are part of those online communities, and comment on the posts, share the post to your own media, because we can also share these things with each other and help expose it to our friends and to others that may not have seen it. So that's an important part of this process is leveraging your power of discovery and finding the voices that are out there that need to be elevated and bringing them to other people, but at the same time, amplifying them through your engagement and hopefully doing that with your friend groups and getting other people to do it with you. Lisa, anything to add to that?
No. Well, maybe. I always have something to add. Um, I think there are so many sort of little independent journalists out there doing their own thing. Some of them have 30,000 followers, some of them have 5,000 followers. There's just a dad or, politics girl who all of a sudden has 40,000 followers. These people are doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us in terms of staying on top of all of what's going on. And they're definitely in the they have the information correct category. So while I always say check your facts before you post something, a lot of these people really have it, and you can just take some of their TikToks and just send them on out, because they're really, really smart people who have been committed. Especially I love Jessica Craven. I just think the world of her. But you find your own people. You know how you come across these reels and you start scrolling, right? You have a reel, you're going through Facebook and you click on this reel, and then you start scrolling. That's how I found a lot of these people. And on other people, in on the other platforms, just scrolling and finding them through other people's posts. That's how I found some of these people to follow. So, you know, they're out there. Everybody's trying to help make a difference.
Absolutely. And once you find them, remember, it's about engaging with their content and
Right.
sharing their content because that triggers the algorithm. That's what amplifies and exposes their content, the content that we wish to promote its message to more people. But it's also a way to expose it to ourselves and each other because I'd love to see what some of the stuff is. I don't necessarily have the time, for example, to find a Jessica Craven, but then when Lisa shares it, then I see it too, and vice versa. So this is an activity that we need to do much more of. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a way that we need to behave, remember, because it's about using and leveraging the algorithms to direct where our attention goes, but also where our attention does not go.
So, just as a reminder, we're gonna organize training on each of these topics, but here are some of the rules of engagement just to help guide your activities. We've gone over some of them, but rule number one, do not ever, ever, ever engage directly with a bad actor or their content. Ignore trolls, do not amplify their voice. Rule number two, follow rule number one without exception. Rule number three, engage instead only with trusted people and sources, especially to point out fallacies and mistruths that you see elsewhere, and to post facts and truthful perspectives. Find your sources that you can be fact checking with, and have them ready to do that, because again, you don't want to be part of the problem. Rule number four, follow rule number three as often and as many times as possible every day. The truth matters, integrity matters. It doesn't seem to matter to the current administration, but it has to matter to us. So we have to figure out a way to make that matter again. Rule number five, the name of the game is attention. So be creative and fun and be authentic. That's what draws people. So whatever you're posting, however you're phrasing it, have fun with it, play with it, be edgy with it. Again, as we talked about, attention. That's what wins the day. Rule six, always keep it positive and fact-based. Always take the high road. God is watching, and so is your mother. Rule seven, assume that your audience is made up of people like you who are going to be happy to hear your thoughts and feelings expressed by others, and their thoughts and feelings expressed by others. So don't worry about anyone else. Just put it out there. There are other people who want to hear what you have to say, and that will be affirmed by the responses that you get on your posts. Rule number 8, do not seek to persuade or educate. Humbly and graciously share your facts, your information, and your opinions. And by all means, lead that horse's ass to water, but don't try to make them drink. Rule number 9, stop engaging with the trolls and the bad actors. We mean it. Arguing with them helps them. It elevates them. See rule number 1. And rule number 10, if someone attacks you in response to something that you post, then good, nice work. You've gotten them to help trigger the algorithm and to gain attention, which is exactly what you want. So encourage your friends to reply to your post and hopefully get a conversation going with each other. But ignore the troll. Don't talk to him, her. Rule number 11, never use insulting or demeaning language. Unless you're like me and you just can't help yourself. And anybody who knows me, who's read my posts, knows I so often cannot help myself. God, they piss me off. Rule number 12, look around, observe, and learn and see what works. Form your own rules of engagement if you need to. You will figure it out. You will start to get a sense of what works, and then more engagement you have with your posts, the more you'll realize, yeah, I'm on the right track. So I think with that, John, if you have anything else to add.
Well, I saw that we had some really interesting comments in the thread, so I'm looking forward to our questions and answers. But we want to know, we just wanted to point out with the new administration that we understand what the strategy is. Steve Bannon revealed it in his PBS interview and has said it multiple times. His intention is to flood the zone. And by flooding the zone, that means that there's so much crap to have to answer to. There's so much mud that there is no clarity. So part of what we can do is just be a confident voice of clarity always. The clarity will come through. We can't allow ourselves, like the cat in this picture, chasing that laser red light. We can't fall victim to weapons of mass distraction. We have to keep our eye on the ball about what matters. Go ahead, change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to whatever you want. It really doesn't matter, but we're going to keep an eye on the ball of what's really happening. And oh, by the way, what's really happening is not pretty. They don't want us to pay attention to the man behind the curtain, but we actually know what's happening right now. And we know who the man behind the curtain is. In this particular instance, tomorrow it'll be another issue we're dealing with, but there's always something larger at stake. It's not just about amassing power and owning a narrative. Disinformation and misinformation ultimately has a purpose, and that's why we're fighting so hard against it. It might seem like a tsunami, but we know we can win. And oh, by the way, what's at stake here? Why does Elon Musk want to raid the government? It may have something to do with the $22 billion in federal contracts he already has, but it may have more to do with the federal contracts he seeks to gain. But these are the kinds of things that we need to focus on. Again, this is what we mean by be the voice of truth.